Hi, welcome to another bright Sunday. No, Wednesday. I saw you for one moment there, and you probably said within yourself, "What's it she saying now?"
All good, all good.
So, you are so welcome to another soul deep conversation with Cosmic Sisters, Anne and Corinne. And in this episode, we journey through the fifth insight from the Celestine Prophecy, the path of growth. Personal growth leads to greater awareness. From synchronicities to self-reflection, we explore how life's nudges, subtle or strong, shape our spiritual path and expand our inner knowing. So we will be sharing deeply personal stories along with what we know, at least we think we know, but we do have some experience, right? We have walked through life and how to transform and how to use these insights from this lesson prophecy because they are brilliant. They are still going strong. James Redfield wrote the books, I think you said 89.
Hmm.
I didn't read them until 2000, but I was stuck. And going through this journey, we said this to each other the other day because I haven't read them for quite many
Long time.
years at this point, yes. But as we go through them, and the same with the four agreements we did a series on, I realized that, oh, I'm using so many of these tools. Isn't
That's
that
right.
fantastic?
Hmm.
And whether you're already on this journey, the spiritual path, right, or just beginning, this insight is your invitation to see with fresh eyes and maybe even a newly awakened third eye. How about that?
Yeah.
And today we have Wednesday, July 9th, and I can just say a little bit about we launched a 12-part series in May this year with Corinne and myself about the insights of the Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. And throughout this year, we are going to be somewhere in the middle of November to get all of this going right, because we have 12 insights and we have one summary at the end. And it's going to be nice. We are going to do this twice a month. Some months we have um, 5 Wednesdays, but usually there are four of them. So every 2 weeks, could you say? But it's not applicable to this month. I know that. So we're going to have talking about other things 2 weeks in a row, and then we end up the month with episode or insight 6. You can find upcoming and past episodes at angelplaceonearth.com/upcoming dash past and find our series at angelplaceonearth.com series dash cosmic dash guardians. Where did I get all those dashes? And our last show with Cosmic Sisters and Corinne and myself was last Wednesday, July 2nd, and we talked about chaos creates completion. And boy, we have been walking through what we are talking, walking our talk, basically, right?
Yep.
And that's brilliant. You can connect with us, find upcoming shows, past episodes, read articles, find Corinne, her phone numbers, her website, everything on angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic guardians. And I think it's time for us to dive straight into the show, the fifth insight.
Ooh, fantastic. What I say every time we have the opportunity to live what we're going to be talking about. Okay, that frog can go away. Um, I have found that as a wide-eyed seeker of all that is beyond and all that is around, uh, I haven't been aware sometimes about how this longing just kind of propels me into a collision course with my true spiritual self. And it's like that. I get a read this book, and then all of a sudden I find myself going another direction and finding myself going here. And it's a beautiful way to allow synchronicity even
Yes.
before I knew what synchronicity was about. And I know through my life personally, I've had many nudges come up, and I've kind of been asleep, my third eye, not wanting to wake up. And maybe I've missed a lot of signs. But I believe that once it opens enough for you to realize that there is so much more out there, and sometimes you'll see young people who are blessed with becoming conscious at a very young age, and more souls are coming in fully conscious. They haven't really forgotten their true spiritual connection. However, we have all of these people that are so willing to forbid them from doing things or telling them how silly their ideas are. But as you become stronger and as you really begin feeling that self love, you are able to step into your true divinity so much quicker. And I see this all the time, and I am so thrilled when I see people going, oh, and
And
have,
you know
having,
what? Even even going back and reading, I think we both have read the whole series with 12 Insights
mhm,
multiple times. So you read something, it sinks in, right? You digest it. And
yes,
then after a year or two, you read it again and you come deeper.
exactly. And that is the process. And that is when you are around a really true teacher, it comes in layers. And I know that personally, I came in with the idea of having a lot of human experiences and maybe didn't pay attention as much as I should have. And then when I started becoming aware, I said, well, why did you start with me so late in life if I've got all this stuff to do? Uh, well, where is the manual? And I hear other people saying those things, but sometimes you have to get to a point where you go, oh, well, this isn't a coincidence. It is a synchronicity. Oh, there's
Yes.
that word again.
It's um it's interesting. I want to just read because James Redfield, he says that uh, and this is original text, I'm just going to state, right? From James Redfield.
Hmm.
12 spiritual insights from the Celestine Prophecy by him, a guide to awakening and understanding.
Yes.
Right. And that's so beautiful. And he says, we break through, at least momentarily, to experience a moment that seems to move us past our normal level of consciousness. And we sense an ultimate connection. Sometimes this event comes through a spiritual practice we have found that brings us to this moment. It could be a peak experience at a house of worship or through prayer, meditation, music, communing with nature, or a host of other points of entry, right? Whatever, because everything in our world here, and these are my words, I can't hold myself back, I have to have it. Everything in our world here are equally sacred as well, right? Instantly, we receive a fast forward boost in our sense of well being, peace, and even blissfulness, an experience described by prophets and saints as a greater sense of knowing and wisdom, and the deep emotion of love, convincing us even more by foretelling that spiritual consciousness is real and provides a look ahead to the levels of awareness, the ultimate goal of spiritual evolution. That's James Redfield's words.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. And I know personally in my life. Well, it wasn't that I was bumbling around as much as I was just involved in the living of life. And I would get a message and it would kind of click, and then it would be a while longer before it clicked again. But now that my third eye, which is the pineal gland, has finally decided to stay open all the time, and I've stopped hitting the snooze button, I'm finding that these messages are much easier to catch, much easier to see. And I will admit that I've always been guided, sometimes gently, but a lot of times it's probably taken a two by four to hit me over the head before I'd kind of go, oh, look at that. Let's do this a little differently. But we're all gently nudged, and it is our choice and our privilege to go, ooh, well, that's kind of like we're going to use that color of red instead of that color of red. Just little subtle things. But we're being urged to do these in our own way. And there's no quick and easy, and there's no magic pill, um, like in the Matrix.
The red
But
pill or the blue pill, right?
that's right. And but it does come, and we're going to be talking about transformational events that really you go, I could have never gone through this if there hadn't been something that I could hang on to, something within myself, something beyond myself. And when I say beyond, people always have the feeling that something is better than they are, so they have to keep reaching beyond. But it is reaching within where the strength is.
Yes, it is. And we have been saying that for a very long time. So again, everything is connected. There are so many different tools, but also the Celestine Prophecy is a very down to earth tool
Yes,
and
I
way
like
of
it.
discovering because it's not something out there, because we have to go in here, right?
Yes, yes. We all came here basically with our own manuals. That's why there's no great big how to book. We all came to find our uniqueness, our connection to the synchronicity. And this is a very personal journey. And even when you're on that journey and there's other people around, they're not on your personal journey. We may be walking the same road, but we're seeing things differently. We're feeling things differently because we're going to be able to add our uniqueness to the end results. Otherwise, it'd be like putting, well, I've got to put a cup of flour in. Well, it calls for another cup of flour. It calls for another cup of flour. You got to have different ingredients to make it all gel.
Yeah, you have. And delicious ingredients are going to make up for a great dish, aren't they?
Yep, exactly.
And it is always a very, very personal journey to grow yourself and understand things. Because even if there are a gazillion words for everything, right? We experience it's the personal experience and how we grasp. And I remember also when I started this, and I was literally covered in numbers. I had a notebook, and you know how the universe works, right? When
Oh,
the universe notifies that you pay attention, it increases.
it really
And
does. It
it's
really
sort of
does.
funny. And I tried to understand all these messages separately, but they were I figured out at a certain point that because I could see maybe 50 a day, They just came all the time. And I said, I can't really write all the time, right? So I have to, how can I expand this? How can I move beyond and understand what this is all about, right?
Yeah,
So one way is, for instance, when things happen, what else is going on around? Is did someone call you? Is someone saying something? Did you think something? Did you hear an airplane passing by, a car? Where are you? What are you thinking?
that's right.
Um, and also, many, many times, usually, when we are having numbers coming like they play tennis with you, right? And it's usually because, okay, heads up, something
Yes.
is coming. Pay attention, heads up.
Yes, and I got signaled with that, the 1111 and all these synchronicity numbers that will relate to a lot of things. And 444, that was coming up everywhere. And I realized that that's when the angels were talking to me. And at 4:44 in the morning, they would wake up and say, "We want you to write stuff." So I'd start writing. And I tried to negotiate because couldn't we make it a little closer to 5:30? Well, but 444 has become a real strong number with me, and it's led me to a lot of wonderful ways. But as you say, you start seeing those synchronicities in the numbers. Kind of, hello,
Yeah.
hello, are you there? But when you
Yeah.
start learning to trust your inner connection to something that's vaster than you are, and again, I reiterate, nothing is bigger than we are. We just feel that it is because we haven't connected to it. But when you have that
Exactly.
connection to everything that's going around you, your comprehension, your compassion, and you begin to move into self love, like we've spoken before, and you begin to feel this pure vibration. Um, and the expression "go with the flow" in this case is a positive, just yin and yang. You could go with the flow and get yourself in trouble, or you could go with the flow and allow things to grow. And
Yes,
that's that's when you start having these transformational feelings of connection, of self-worth, of self-love, and you just for no reason you're in ultimate bliss. And you haven't gone anywhere or spent any money or been kissed by the magical man or woman. It's not like that. It kind of glows from inside, and you radiate and you go, whoa, how did I do that? I'd like to keep this up. And this is when you start feeling what you're living. It is it's wonderful.
it is wonderful. And I remember from, I think, I don't remember exactly what insight it is from the Celestine Prophecy, but when we are in the flow and when we look around, we observe there are certain things that are going to stand out. They may be highlighted, they may look
Yep.
like they are glowing, they may be different in one way or another. And those are signs, right? So have
Yes.
the courage. And also, I'm going to chime in a little bit about what we talked last week about chaos, because that's so funny. Because everything is energy. We cannot walk on this path and rediscover ourselves, remember, digging within, finding our authentic selves without stirring around energy. And that means don't be afraid of seeing things because know that you always have a choice, right? Always, always,
Yes.
always. And it's our response to everything that happens. So, as hidden aspects become conscious, we gain greater control over our responses and can choose to act in alignment with our authentic selves. That is the beauty of it.
Yes. When I was guiding one of my students, and we were studying, I had just introduced her to the Celestine Prophecy, and we were driving up to Payson, which is a small town in the mountains away from us, but it was cooler, and she had a cabin up there, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to be in the moment. I'm going to allow the energy to flow. And at that moment, it was like I was being propelled, like in Star Wars, where you go into warp speed.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm driving my car. It says 65 miles an hour on there, and I am moving through time and space. We really literally cut off 45 minutes of our trip, and I never went any difference in the
Wow.
speed limit. So
Wow.
we got kind of into this. So where her cabin is kind of remote, and we wanted to go from where she was to another small town, but we didn't want to go the long way. She says, "Well, there's a road." Okay, now a road meaning uh, it's barely you can barely drive it with a car. So we get to this area where there's a fork in the road, no signs. We're out in the middle of nowhere, no GPS, and we go, which way do we go? And so we looked, and all of a sudden, one side of the road literally started lighting up, and there was this aura around it. And we
Yeah.
go, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained, and that's in the Celestine Prophecy. We'll just take this one, and sure enough, we ended up where we were supposed to go. So having these, and these are transformational experiences. These
Yes.
you can talk about, but unless you've actually lived them, it's like, oh well, that sounds good on the page, but does it really happen? Yes, it does.
It
And I
does.
yeah, and then you go from being a believer into becoming a knower, and that's
Yeah.
a big difference.
It is a big difference. And when you open yourself to these experiences, I mean, I have had my share of them too, but it's, for instance, I went, I needed to buy a new blouse. So I went to a store and I had some other errands. It's so long ago that we had cash with us, right?
Yes.
And I knew what I had. And I did my errands, not too many, and I bought the blouse. And then I looked at my purse when I wanted to take the metro to go back home. And I saw, well, I know I paid for it, but I still have my money left.
Uh-huh.
How can that be?
Yes.
I paid for it. I knew I paid for it. And I had the receipts, but I still had almost the same amount of money.
Oh
And
yes.
other times when you just say something, there were times when I couldn't really understand, is this guidance synchronicity or is this something I do manifest? Because it can be tricky to see the difference sometimes, right? But I said something, I stated something, this is what I need, I'm going to go for it, and I found it without any effort.
Okay. And synchronicities, I think synchronicities allow you to see the possibilities. And yes, manifestation is because we are living and walking the walk and talking the talk, and we allow for the possibilities to be greater than we could have even conceived. And these are the things that if you notice them in your life, and I try, there is no try, yoga says no try, only do or not do. uh, I allow myself to become aware of each and every synchronicity, each and every miracle, each and every occurrence where the universe is just pat me on the back and say, hey, we got you. And by acknowledging these, you realize that in that one day, oh, well, in my case, I wasn't sure whether my AC, and in Arizona, you better have air conditioning, um, or plan on, roasting eggs on your floor. Um, I didn't know whether the insurance was going to pay for it. A lot of reasons why it shouldn't. And I got confirmation that it's going to be taken care of. These are transformational awareness that the universe is working with you, and
Yes.
uh, and it's beautiful. And
It is beautiful. And something comes with that also. You have enough experience that you've gone through so many things of this nature, right? So you trust it. We
yeah,
need to have faith and trust in that we are going to be provided for. We
yeah,
still need to take action. So you still needed to reach out to them or check this out or
that's
whatever
right.
it was you had to do. But you had faith and trust in that I know that this is going to be fixable.
Yes, and even when we get something that doesn't seem to be exactly like we thought it should be, allow the possibilities that maybe that little moment of chaos is actually going to turn into something bigger than even you could have imagined. And uh, and being able to, there again, go with the flow. Right now I need to be doing this, but I'm still contributing, I'm still being a participant. And that's the key, is to participate in your own life. And over over the last 40 years, 50 years now, that I've actually been aware that I'm awake, I find that I do live between the worlds. I
Yeah,
can
you
as
do.
I can as easily be in the spiritual realm as I can be in the material realm, and I live in synchronicity between the two. And I, I'm enjoying the experience. I really am. And I guarantee you, when I was a little girl growing up, and I go, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to get married and I'm going to live on a horse ranch and I'm going to raise thoroughbred horses. And well, I don't ever remember saying, when I grow up, I'm going to be working in the spiritual realm of the world, and I'm going to be assisting people on their personal journeys. That was that. I don't ever see that written down in any of my books about what I wanted to be.
No, and that is coming from how we are raised, and it's kind of almost the same for most people, to be honest. Wherever we are on the globe, we are raised by our family and we are given their values, ideas, opinions, you name it, plus the society we're living in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, so we are shaped. So
Shaped.
this is why if we want to find ourselves and who we truly are, we need to break free, break the chain.
Break the chains. What? Chaos? Oh my. Chaos is going to, have completion, and we're going to turn into that butterfly. And it's amazing how I've been nudged into doing this and nudged into doing that. And when I started listening to these urgings, um, I had no idea when I went into my cocoon what my true potential was going to be. But I felt that it was such a great experience to be part of it. It was like, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And
But I can sign on that too, because when we start, um very often we start seeking because something happens for us, right, in our lives. That's very, very common. So I did start a little bit before. I had my tragedy when my boyfriend died, and we were
Yes.
together for 2.5 years, and I was only 20 years old.
Whoa.
Um, so I did start a few things, and then I rested from them. I wanted to explore life as well, right? And then I came back to it when I was divorcing, and that's another typical. So I said, now this is it. But I had the experiences, like you. But I think that what drives us is that we know that there's something else, something deeper. We feel it. We have been presented with it multiple times, and it becomes once we start, um, we feel so excited. We want to explore. Who
Hmm.
am I? Who are you? Who? What is the universe? What's going on here? Right?
Yes. And I think um, a lot of times, and I find this more the rule rather than the exception. People and individuals that start beginning that reconnection with their divinity have all had a what would be considered traumatic backstory. I think the things that we are given is has prepared us for what we're doing now. And it gives us an opportunity to be able to be more available to people that are going through these things. I know it wasn't a pleasant thing with my firstborn to be born with a lot of congenital challenges. One of them was his heart and his hands, and heart surgery at 6 months, and then for the
Oh,
next 11 years had surgeries on his arms, and eventually recreating. The thumbs were not connected, so they had to take his index finger and rotate it around to make thumbs on both hands. This child went through all of this. He never complained. He never said, "Why me?" He never he never had a pity party. And when I was writing his story, Jimmy's Courageous Heart, I realized how courageous he was. And he came here basically to teach us love and laughter and perseverance and connection. And having the opportunity to guide him through his transition when we knew his final surgery was coming and there was a possibility of him making his transition. And we sat and we talked. And he basically said to me, he said, "Mom, there's a chance I'm going to die, isn't there?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "Well, what will it be like?" And I said, "You'll be free." And he said, "Well, when's it going to happen?" I said, "Well, I can't really tell you that." But I said, we need our bodies when we're hanging around the earth. After that, we don't need them. It's like bedroom slippers. We go on to put on our heavenly wings or whatever. And having been given the opportunity to be able to have that conversation with my son was amazing. Having the opportunity to actually touch the other side, literally be on the other side and feel that. I'm telling you, when you allow transformation in your life, it is beyond what you can with our limited human thinking. And
exactly. And this is also something that creates fear for a lot of people because they don't know. Okay.
yes,
If you haven't experienced the other side, you haven't done that personally, right? I'm not talking about you because you have.
right,
I'm talking about generally for people. So
yes,
there is a fear. What if this is not real? But in my perception and my what I'm thinking is that many, many, many times we take this incarnated lifestyle too seriously, because think of it as taking a trip somewhere. And
Yeah.
maybe like for your son's case, and I think you helped him tremendously because he had no fear whatsoever. He had
Mm,
no fear. He was fearless. Um, he trusted, and you knew and you could help him to do that transformation, right?
yes.
Um, but if most people listening to talks like we are having today, right? They sense that there's something out there. There's something else. There's more depth. Maybe they believe in spirits. Maybe they, ancestors coming and giving messages and things of that nature. There are so many different things, right?
Right.
But I think we can say that there is something on the other side,
Yes.
right? If there is something on the other side and the soul is eternal, what do I have to be afraid of here?
Yeah. And it has prepared me for so many things, working with people that are going through grief. And it's a transformational process, and it's part of the experience that we do have as life. It's not punishment. It just is part of the moving through the dimensions. And
Yeah.
and I guarantee you, when I stepped into the light, I was going into this bedroom, and I literally stepped into the other side. There is no word that you can describe the love. There is the feeling is beyond anything that we have ever felt here on earth, and the brilliance. And and when Jimmy came to talk to me, no, he did not have a wings and halo. He just walked up to me and he says, "Mom," he says, "heaven is everything and more, and I want you
Wow.
and Dad to be happy." And the only reason I shed tears at that time was because I couldn't stay. And, and because that's why we don't see the other side, because you go back and now we have to do this laborers, living in the world, depending on synchronicities and stuff like that, which are given to us to allow us to have that experience without having to have the experience that I had. So embracing all of these beautiful inspirational things that we're given, and having the eyes to allow ourselves to see, and our hearts open so we can hear and feel. And this is a beautiful, but each one of these insights assisted me on this journey. I, you know, it's amazing.
And same for me too, because energy and what happens, how things work, how synchronicities work, how the energy works, how guidance works, what is guidance, and how do I see things. It's not something taken out of perspective. It's real,
No,
it's here, we're living in it, but we need to open our eyes and have a clear intention that we want to do it because it is here. And like you, I don't believe in punishment or reward. Never.
no,
There's no such a thing. But we have multiple choices, and becoming more aware gives us more perspectives to choose from, and we can make better choices for ourselves. We can make choices that really truly feel in alignment with who we are, and not who we think we are because we have
yes,
been given ideas of who we are, right? That's a big difference.
big difference. Yeah, because when you start this journey of curiosity, maybe in the first, and then you start going, well, this makes sense, and nobody is telling me that I have to believe it, or I'm going to be denied this or given this, but it's something that feels right. You try it on. Ooh, that looks right. And then you start working with it. And I know from our conversations that you and I have, that's how we work. We hear something, we try it on, and then maybe that leads to something this direction or this direction. And watching for that nudge that's going to say, okay, why don't you go this way? And you go, and then you go, oh, maybe I will. But trusting is comes from self-love.
Yeah, and trusting also means that we have walked, discovered, searched for, looking for
Uh-huh.
answers, and we have had patience because, even if we manifest things, it's not going to fall in our lap. There is always a certain amount of action having to be taken, right?
That's right.
But it's so exciting. And when you start to connect the dots, oh, this happened a week ago, and yesterday this happened, and now I get this kind of completion within the chaos. I had to say that too, right? So
Yes.
it came, so I can see. And a very good thing for people to do is actually keep a notebook, write down what you are experiencing.
Yeah.
Uh, doesn't have to be a novel or a big article or whatever, but date, time, and what it was, right? Because when you
Yeah.
go and look back, it's going to make sense.
Yes. And I never had the impression, with journaling, but over 40 years ago, I started getting these little nudges, and they were coming in the form of, where's your pencil? What are you going to write on? And anything that I could write on, a napkin, a tablecloth, anything that I could get my hands, all of a sudden, I'm getting what I call downloads. And I would write them down and I would put them away. And now that I'm going through the wonderful chaos of really deep cleaning, and I'll open one and I'll go, wow, I'd sure like to talk to that person because that's really profound. And this is the beauty of not trying to edit them when you write them and then leave them. And then when the time comes, you may open that up just to the right page where it talks about being perfectly imperfect,
Yeah,
where it
exactly.
talks about being limitless, where it talks about loving yourself enough to follow the path. And one of the things that I'm watching is the most popular segments of self healing seem to be there again that people want to take the easy way. They'll
Yeah,
go and do a sound therapy where they just lay there and enjoy it, and that's very healing. But they don't do anything after that. They go, okay, on Monday I'm going to get that vibration, and on Tuesday I'm going to do this and stuff like that. And they're seeking and they're getting the nudge, and then eventually you're going to get that nudge to go, okay, got to really shake it up here, add a little chaos, and see where this is taking me.
exactly. Because, it's no one else can do this journey for you.
No.
A lot of people around, um, healing or psychics or whatever, you know, channelers, you just name it. They can help open doors. But
Yes.
just know that everybody has the abilities. And also, it takes a little bit of practice to start trusting. So
Yeah.
you have trust in what you receive, right?
Yes. I'm sorry. I had a thought that made me laugh. And uh, in society, you want to create people that the main theme is to create people to keep coming back, keep feeding your income. That's the
Yeah,
typical thing. And
yeah,
some kinds of doctors and some kinds of workout things. Well, you got to keep doing this. Without me, you're not going to make it. To keep that income coming in. Well, I'm kind of one of these people that I really want to guide people to find their true selves so they can kind of do it on their own. And I do such a great job that they come for a very short time, and then they don't need to even come in and say hi anymore. And I'm going, wow, I'm just, I'm too good at what I'm doing. It just made me chuckle when I thought of that.
Yeah.
But I'm
And
very
I
very proud to do that, though.
yeah, and I'm one of those people too, because I don't like that someone is going to have, because I work on a psychic line, right? Someone being dependent on what I'm going to say.
Correct.
Because yeah, I can see things. I can tell them a lot of things when people call, but it's we who do create at this moment in time, always. Here we do create the future, right? It
Yes,
means that I would never ever say to someone, if making someone dependent on me would be like taking their power away from them, right?
exactly. And that's,
Be,
I
be,
think, yeah,
because they have their own power, and we need to own our own power. But like most people, I think you maybe have had few of those too. There are those who like the energy and they keep coming back.
that's
But we
right.
need, in order to progress and move forward, we actually need to start doing a few things ourselves, right?
Absolutely. And every Tuesday night, I have an open heart meditation here in Mesa. And I can remember a couple of times that I'd met people and they came and they were just getting so much out of it. And this one lady I really got a kick out of because she was having challenges with speaking up for her own right and following what her own soul was saying to her. And she comes in and she's really happy. And I said, well, what's going on? She said, it's my birthday. And we all said, happy birthday. She's probably maybe 42, 46, something like that. And she says, well, I want to tell you that I have been so motivated by becoming myself that today I went down and for my birthday, I jumped out of an airplane and did skydiving. I'm
Oh,
going, how do I put that on a business card? Come to meditation for 2 or 3 weeks, and you'll have the courage to jump out of an airplane. But that's what it was. She got in touch with herself. She started listening to herself, and not just jumping out of airplanes, but saying, "I need to have a different job. I need to do this." And I watch this so many times when they come and they're working within the energy, and it inspires them to really step into their true essence. And that's what James Redfield did so many many years ago, and he's still doing it. He still has a newsletter you can join, but he started people becoming aware of what was already there, but he put it into a format that was easy for us numbskulls to just go, oh, this is a nice book. Oh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? And so he put it in a format where we could experience it while we were reading the story. Not just, okay, this is what you do, take this, do that many things, sit up. Sit. It wasn't a how to, it was a how to be in the moment, how to live. And he did a beautiful job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
absolutely. Uh, I wanted to, I think, because I can't open the document right now, but I think he goes on with a website that's with all the insights. But of course, we want you to listen to us, but we still keep doing this because it's
That's right.
always
Yeah.
different
Yeah, but
perspectives.
he's
I,
available
I,
out
I
there. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's called the Celestine Vision, his
Yeah.
website. So.
Yeah.
if anyone wants to connect.
Right.
But anyway, um, it is um, it is exciting, and as we said in the beginning, doing these things, um, it's like coming back to something you used to read, right? You used to dig into, realizing that, okay, gosh, I almost apply all of these things in my life today, so many years after. For
Hmm.
me, that's 25 years, and for you, it's 35, right?
40.
40. Wow.
I'm a slow learner, or I just love going to class. But you know, I love what you say here about the all of this journey is to take us into personal growth, and this is the important thing, is that personal growth.
Yeah, and no one else can do that personal growth for you, right? As we said, people can help. It's a good thing to have advice, having confirmation, having healing, working with these energies, and surrounding yourself with people who actually like Corrine, who's very good at this, and myself, of course, right? Who can help, but can not becoming that person who you come to every week because you want to get fixed, because
Exactly.
no one can do that. So seeking out people, us or others, that are going to provide you with the tools and help you to
Yeah.
move forward, because only you can experience that. And I think that all these insights are exquisite,
Yes.
because we need to turn ourselves inside out and question things,
Yes.
because certain times, I usually talk about transformational times, right? And in the beginning, I thought that okay, I'm going to transform once and that's it. No, it's not it. It's not it. It's a continuous journey, but you start to appreciate it. And in the beginning, it feels more challenging than it does after some time, because we know more. We
Yeah.
have gained more experience. We have gone through it so many times. We may be grumpy for 5 minutes because, oh, here we go again, right? But we know how to manage it, and that is the important thing. And it's not about um, having done something bad and having bad karma coming your way, or being rewarded on the other side, right? It's about you finding and discovering you, and you, when you do that, the world around you is a reflection of who you are. And that is
Exactly.
beautiful
Yes.
indeed.
Yes. And many times we have probably said this more times than we've said anything else. It's We didn't come here to change the world. We came here to be our change. And by doing that, things around us will have the opportunity to change. We can't change another person, but by changing ourselves and allowing the world to see us in a different perspective gives people around us to either say yay or nay. I mean, maybe they go, "Whoa, I can look at this a different way," or "I'm going to go away," because that's what it amounts to. If that person is ready to look within themselves, they will. If they're not, they're just going to go away. You know, and
Exactly. And
and that's good too.
that is perfect too, because that means that, that walking this path also means that we don't ever try to convince someone of something,
No,
you know? And I certainly feel for myself, I don't like when I find myself in a place where I'm, people are trying to convince me of something. I can hear, but you're always going to get the answer from here, from within,
Exactly.
right?
Yes. But that's the beauty of it. It's I love to go back to nature itself. If I am planting a tomato seed, it's not going to grow into a cucumber
No,
because its destiny is to be a tomato plant. And it's
exactly.
going to be a very happy tomato plant. It doesn't want it doesn't have cucumber envy. And I had the lovely experience one time of speaking to young teenage girls, and I looked around, and you see all of the ones that were trying to fit into that group, the gothic group, or the glamour group, or this group. And I said to them, and I used this example. I said, we live in a desert, and we have all these cacti, and they're growing up to be either a barrel cactus or a saguaro cactus or whatever. But that's what they're doing, and they're doing the best they can. Now, next to them may be an avocado tree. Now, the
Yeah.
avocado tree doesn't go, oh, that cactus has such beautiful prickly things on it. I wish I looked like that. Or the cactus doesn't say, look at all those big leaves and everything. There is no envy. And
No envy.
they become the best that they can be. And I'm
Yes.
looking at all these young women that were trying to copy the next person, and I thought, I happen to be born completely different. There's not that many redheads. And unless I bleached my hair or dyed my hair, I was going to look different. And I seemed to be okay with that, and wanted to be me. I didn't want to be an image of them or a copy of them. And that's the beauty with the journey that we're suggesting here, is find that inner self, find that whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes. And like the topic says, right? Um, Insight 5 from the Celestine Prophecy, the path of growth. Personal growth leads to greater awareness. So
Yes.
the awareness is uh, priceless, to be honest, um, because it's you get so many answers to things, sometimes not at once. So we need to be patient. It's not going to come, always in an instant, and many times it does. So we are grateful for that, right? But it's just being on this journey and working on this journey. And I have to say something that you always say to me that I don't say to you. I always say it before and after, and I forget on when we are live. I appreciate you so much. I found you across the globe, and I'm in awe to have find a companion like you. Thank you.
Well, as I only have great appreciation for the fact that the universe did put us together, and there's a lot of distance between you and I. I mean,
Yes,
half a world, half a world, and our unique way and the synchronicity of finding each other. And I also say to you that, and I say this often to you, you inspire me to be the best that I can be. And it's not an inspiration that is, well, you have to, I'm better than you, why don't you be as good as I am. It is this love that you just pour to me, this understanding and seeing who I am, and saying, I'm here to watch you become the best you can be. And that's, I think we both do that with people around us, that we want them to be the
yes.
best they can be, not a copy, not a, just be your best.
And thank you so much. And I'm doing this. but I think it's very common, and we have reached a mature age, both of us, right?
Yes.
So we have gone through many things, and when you mature, one of the blessings actually are that you feel more certain. It comes with a little bit of life experience and time, many times.
Yes.
But there are also many people, young people, being born into being different from the beginning,
Oh, yes.
and having support around them. So I think that's becoming more common uh, at this time. And I'm happy for that because we're not supposed to be here to be copies of each other.
Not at all.
We are not supposed to look alike. And I'm not against, trying to buy the same stuff as people. If you like what someone else is wearing, you go and buy the same thing, or you want to do something that gives you think will give you a better self-confidence. But the thing is, when you're not in touch with yourself, it doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter where you are, where you live, how
Yeah.
much you earn, what car you drive, or if you're going to have a nose surgery because everybody else in the neighborhood had it, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to bring you the happiness you seek.
No.
If you have, I want to say that I'm not against when we have something that is out of an injury or anything. Yes, go and do it, please. But don't think that all of these outer things are going to bring you the happiness. It's
Yes.
not going to. Never.
Well, I never considered myself a rebel, but when I look back on some of the things I did, you know, and talking about peer pressure, and that takes us away from wanting to become um, a higher spiritual consciousness and our spiritual evolution because we get caught in the what is the popular. And I had never wanted to be the person that had that Gucci bag or that particular outfit, and that's and not because it was bad. I just never had that urge to do that. And this one opportunity I had, my husband was going to be playing in a golf tournament in Lake Tahoe, which is pretty prestigious. And I happened to get cold. I don't like to be cold. So I went out and I bought myself some fake fur and
Yeah,
I made myself a cape and I lined it with just an old thermal blanket that I had around. I mean, it had a satin finish on it. It would look nice. And we went into this casino and I didn't want to carry it because it was very heavy. So I asked him to put it in the cloakroom. And the man goes, "I'm sorry, ma'am. We have to put all the furs in the manager's office." And I said, "It's fake." I said, "I made it myself." "I'm sorry, ma'am. We have to put that in the office." And he put my fake fur in in there. And the point is that you can be yourself and you can fit in by being you. And I wasn't trying to
exactly.
impress anybody. I was just trying to stay warm. But when you start being yourself, and I think that spiritual consciousness was always within me. I just wasn't aware of it until I started having the opportunity to be me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I have something because from childhood, I mean, small child, I encountered things, and I always had, ideas coming, solutions of things, right? That's guidance.
Yes,
So if we are in it, um, we need to learn to trust it because it's, as human beings at a certain point, it's very common. We all do it. So don't slap yourself if you think that you don't trust everything you get. Write it down, explore it, find your path because it is not until we actually start taking action on that either. We don't need to take big action,
That's right.
doing things, um, writing it down, paying attention to things, knowing that, okay, if I pay attention to this, I can start to put down the pieces of this million piece puzzle, right?
Yeah.
Start to understand things because, like it says, your growth will lead you to greater awareness. And once you start this, it's going to increase because where our focus goes, that's where we see more things. We created
Yeah.
also. We are the creators also, along with the universe and everybody combined here, because we all create. But it's so fascinating and stunning at when you come to a certain level, you can't just say, oh, I don't want to go back there. I know it's work sometimes. I know I'm going to encounter chaos. I know I'm going to transform more often than I probably would have wanted if I would see this from the beginning. But I love the journey.
Yeah. So if you were to ask me some questions about
Yeah,
my path, what would you ask? What would you ask?
about your path. Okay. So I would ask something that will have you reflect on your path, right?
Yes.
And I would ask you, for instance, something like to ponder about, really go deep within, not only you, but everybody else, right?
Hmm.
When have you experienced a wake up nudge from life that led to inner transformation? So pay attention to that, and we can think about that afterwards too. Please answer.
Oh, you're actually asking me the question. I thought you were just posing the question. Oh, there she goes again with questions. Well, I've had
If you want
a,
to.
no, no, that's fine. I've had a lot of these little wake up calls, and some have not been really small. Like I always wanted to have a healing center, and didn't quite know how to do it. And then my wake up call came that yes, the universe is preparing me to be a healer, and my house literally burned down. So I was able to rebuild it, and now I have a healing center. So it led to a lot of inner transformation. That was a pretty
Ye-
big one.
That was a pretty big one, yes. And I think that everybody, I'm posting the now it's in the chat, the live chat, right? I'm trying to
Okay,
figure
good.
out how to post these things on the side, but I think we can pick up the live chat after. So next question, because I actually have five for you. Okay, so
Oh,
number
okay.
two,
Okay.
how do you distinguish between someone else's belief and your own inner knowing?
That's something that is pretty close to my heart because uh, there are many places that you go where they literally you're joining a club or something, and we believe this, and you have to keep saying it. We believe this is going to be this way. We believe that if you do this, you'll do that. When you're living someone else's belief system, it's almost like you are being a copy of that person. When you start feeling a knowing within, you actually have a visceral effect. I remember I always wanted to work in Scottsdale. That's a very prestigious place. And as a massage therapist, that would be a place to really get started. And I had an interview, and there were just something not right about. I mean, it was a nice place, but it just didn't fit. And I'm starting to get this little, you know, uh, urging that this is not really where I want to be. And yet everything in me has been driving me to go to this place. And I can remember standing in there, changing into my massage clothes, looking in the mirror saying, I can do this. I can do this. I was trying to convince myself that this was where I wanted to be because that's my belief that I wanted to be there. And my inner knowing said, heck no, go. and, and
Yeah,
I listened to it. I would have been so miserable there trying to fit into their gnome and
yeah,
their belief systems that
yeah,
I would have died. I really would have.
yeah. So I think you explained it beautifully because, when we go against our inner knowing, we usually end up having a challenge, a
Oh
real
yeah,
challenge.
a
Yeah,
real challenge. Physical, mental, anything.
yeah.
It
But
just
you know
doesn't
what?
work.
I just love next question. I love it.
Oh,
In what ways have chaos been a creative force in your growth?
okay. And that's a beautiful one because chaos is not something I fear or something that I dread. It to me uh, it is stirring up the pot and stirring in the ingredients that are going to make things go. Uh, I really believe that every time in my life that there's been a big change coming, it has come from the chaos around it. Um,
Yeah,
when it was time for me to come to the end of my marriage, it was things just weren't working. Chaos was happening. But had I not ended that marriage, had he not had the courage to end the marriage, I
yeah,
would have stayed a dutiful yes wife and tried to make do. My life was coming to a point where I needed to be on another path. I needed to become who I am. I needed to become the healer and the guide and so forth. And I would have
yeah.
never, ever, ever left the marriage because I'm loyal. But it was that chaos that propelled me through it. It
Yeah.
was the chaos of a disturbing situation that allows me to write. It is something that shakes up or rattles the boat that brings me into focus and that allows me to grow.
Yes, and that's beautiful. And I noticed, because you like to say tenacious and I say stubborn. Uh, and when I have gone against my own inner knowing, that took me a while, but also acknowledging that sometimes we need a process. So it's not like we just take um, action just from without, I mean, zero, um, walking in between or doing exploring things, right?
Yes,
But I noticed that when I knew something that wasn't for my highest good or in my best interest, or however we could state that, and when I stubbornly pushed it forward, each and every time it came closer to me, it felt worse, to be honest,
it
because
does.
I was in refusal. That for me, there's a difference in making a conscious choice about things. So you can make a conscious choice about, okay, I see that maybe isn't the best I could have, but I choose to stay here. But that is a conscious decision. It's not
Mhm.
something that you put on your blinds and are stubborn and no, I do it tomorrow, right?
Yes,
So there's a big difference. And again, it's not a punishment, but because we have this urge within, when we don't listen to it, I have a funny way of saying it. Then they give me the frying pan, right?
that's right. That's right. And it's This all comes from first going back and doing the homework of self-love, because unfortunately 99.9% of us come in, and all of that love that we come in with is kind of eased away from us, directed in another direction because of the fears and the background and the belief systems of the people that are raising us. And I really feel that that's also kind of our training ground also. It's like saying, you really want this? Well, go back to building that self-worth and that self-love.
Yes. So, question number 4. What
Ooh.
synchronicity have caught your attention lately, and how did they shape your choices?
I am so blessed with so many choices here. So instead of doing one that's really current, I'm going to go back to the biggest synchronicity that that changed my life. And that was in the parking lot of a department store, and I am getting ready to get in my car, and this lovely lady named Sue with her little granddaughter in hand comes running up to me. Now I had the advertisement on my car of what I did. And she's screaming at me, "Is that your car? Is that your car?" Yes, okay. "I've got to talk to you." And I go, "Okay." And she said, "I do a radio show and I want you on my radio show." And I go, "Okay." And not thinking anything of it. And I can remember getting in the car after our conversation saying to my daughter, "I just had this lady accost me and wants me to do a radio show." She says, "Well, I think you ought to do it." Well, I said, "Well, I would, but I don't know if she'll ever call." You know, that type of thing. How far is this synchronicity going to go? And sure enough, she called. And through her, I met you. And then we didn't meet for another 2 years. Things came up, and Sue eventually made her transition. And I happened to see you on Facebook and just reached out. And we started having conversations. And then as that synchronicity grew, I said, uh, "Would you like me to come on one time?" And before we even did the first podcast, and I was nervous
I
as
grabbed you.
chickens, and I'm going, I could probably do it every week. Okay. And how long has it been now that we've been doing this? Over a
I
year
think
now.
it's more than a year. 27th of March, I think we started.
My gosh.
2024.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So,
March or April, I should know, but anyway, we passed the year.
but this, and to me, that was a synchronicity.
Yeah,
Um,
it
so,
was.
so
And
do
also when you I saw you like posts and you stated something and you asked this and I said, "Yeah, let's go for it."
so it's so if people ask, do we walk the walk and talk the talk? Yes, we do. To the best of our ability, we are true to what we're talking about here. We talk from the heart. We talk from the soul.
Yes.
We don't talk. Yes, and we do have incredible intelligence and knowledge,
Yeah,
but
we know.
but we're talking from inner guidance. We're not talking from, "Gee, look at us, we're this and you need to do that," and everything else. And that's what I love about our conversations is, I really feel that synchronicity.
Yeah, I love that too. Um, because it is important, and I think you you have to just let go of worries, right? Because I wanted to start again, and I did it with a lady, and maybe we weren't um, a good match. And then I continued myself, and I said, okay, I'll do it. I don't really worry for things most often. Many people say to me that, why don't you worry? I say, why should I? Because
It's a waste of time.
always going to fall into place in one way or another. Just you want to do something, well, go for it.
Yes, and that's what you were saying, that it's you 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 think about it, you maybe plan it to a certain degree, but then you let it grow. uh, I go
Yeah,
back to the plants. I don't go out there and say to the little plant that's coming up, uh, you really need to make bigger leaves. How about if you grow over here? No, I think you ought to grow over here. You allow it to grow, and when we have an idea, when we have a thought, when we have uh, that perspective of being able to see something, we can see most of it, but then we allow it to develop. And
yes.
yeah,
And it's the same with energy, because when we step into and try to control the energy, of course we can do that. I don't say it's bad, right? But it's not usually going to end up in our favor, because we try to manipulate the energy, right? Instead
correct.
of, okay, this is what I want to do. Um, I'm going to send this out, or I start off, I kick off something, and it's going to resolve itself. I know it's going to. It always has, and I know
Yes,
that it will continue to be so.
yes,
So
that's
that's
beautiful.
beautiful. I have one more question, and then I'll
Oh,
let you off the
okay.
hook. Okay. So, how does Insight 5 inspire you to embrace new awareness in your current life phase?
I have to say constantly, constantly, because every moment of doing things, I am transforming. Sometimes it's completely transformational, but it's always transforming. I am always moving in the direction of becoming the amazing experience that I came here to be. And that's,
Yeah,
I look at my life like an opportunity to become the greatest energy that I can be. I have my personality, I have my things around me that say this is what this person is like, but I am allowing and using the insights and using the information that these great teachers have put forth and
sorry.
putting them into something that is uniquely me.
Yeah, that was beautifully said. So, are we ready to wrap it up?
I think we are.
So, a closing reflection then, embracing Insight 5. Okay. As we journey through Insight 5 from the Celestine Prophecy, which we have been talking about today, the path of growth, the personal growth leads to greater awareness. Let us carry this truth with us. Personal growth is not just a phase, it's a path. And each step we take, whether hesitant or bold, brings us closer to the awareness that we are more than we once believed. So we are progressing, right? We invite you to breathe deeply, give yourself grace, and trust the timing of your journey. The signs are always there. And when you truly begin to see them, you'll never look at life the same way again. And thank you for joining us, me and Corrine, as Cosmic Sis-Stars Show. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and keep your inner light shining. And
Yes.
I have some more to add. Sorry, I always have. Talking too much. Next upcoming upcoming show here on Cosmic Sis-Stars Show with me and Corinne is next Wednesday, July 16th. And I have to go here because I didn't put it in notifications. So next Wednesday, we're going to talk about cycle of souls, unraveling the mystery of reincarnation and our continuous return. And that is a juicy one. I love that.
Yes. Yes.
So join us next week. And as we said about the Celestine Prophecy, we do a 12-part series with this year. We launched in May, and we're going to talk about the Celestine Prophecies Insights twice a month until we reach November. So join us as we embark on this journey of discovery together. We are so happy to be here with all of you, and this is exciting. And we do walk our talk as well. You can find upcoming and past episodes at angelplaceonearth.com/upcoming-past, and you find our series at angelplaceonearth.com/series-cosmic-guardians. And you can connect with Corinne Mooney and myself, find her phone number, find where she has her healing center, her website, and find me as well at angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic-guardians. And is there anything I missed to say? So thank you for watching us and see you soon. I would want to say this. I'm going to change what I say. We see you, we love you, we appreciate you. What do you say?
Well, of course, I'm going to say those things, so I'm just going to let that be said. But we do, we really do appreciate all that you are and all that you can become. Because this personal journey, this personal transformation, this is self love.
It is indeed. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.